making origami for April, and we're focusing on two flowers. Mostly it's because April is the time of the cherry blossom festivals in Japan and also in Washington, D.C. If you want to see what cherry blossoms look like on the tree, this is a photo. And you can see many, many, many little teeny tiny blossoms. And the trees, when they're in bloom, look like they're just filled with clouds of flowers in shades of white and pink. They're really, really beautiful at this time of year. And so we're going to do that. Now, this is my little approximation made with 2-inch square paper, which is a little bit difficult. Okay, now as small as those are, and when you fold it out of 2-inch square paper, you have to use really good origami paper. For our purposes, I think we're going to fold from a square about this size. It'll make a blossom about this size. But you can still use them to make really pretty cards and other kinds of decorations, so that'll be fine. One extra thing you need is a pair of scissors. You start with your paper and you're going to fold it in half into a rectangle. So just like this. Now we're going to work with the open edges at the top. And you're going to fold the bottom corner up you're going to have a fold like this. So basically this edge is going to come up to meet the top edge. Okay. Then you're going to open it back up again, and we're going to fold the top corner down. Same thing, so that the edge is down now meeting the bottom edge. So when you open up everything, you should be able to see your X of your creases. Okay? Now, we're going to take this point on the other end, and we're going to bring that point into the center of your X. So that point's going to meet right in the center of the X, and you're going to have this little diagonal fold like this. Then you're going to fold this edge over to the outer edge, like so. Then you're going to fold this edge up to meet this fold right up here. So you're going to have this strange shape looking like this. Now you're going to fold this in right along those creases. You're going to fold back because you want these folds on the outside. You're going to fold these two edges to meet. And it's getting pretty thick, which is why when you're working with the smaller size, you really need the really good, strong, real Japanese origami paper, because this stuff gets way too thick to fold those little bitty, teeny, tiny blossoms. So now you have this very strange shape here. There should be a little diagonal, this outer thing here. You're going to start from this end, and you're just going to start cutting, and you can just freehand it. Just cut like a little curve up to the top of the edge of that paper, and then you're going to just do another kind of curve down till you have a shape basically like this. The rest of the stuff you're just going to throw away. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Now, when you open this up, you can already see it has kind of a flower shape. but we want to make that kind of 3D effect. So the center of each blossom part here should have the crease as like we call a mountain crease. It should be up. The crease should be up. And the creases between each petal should be folded down, or a valley fold. So some of these are already that way. Some you're going to have to kind of work with and reverse the folds, okay? Like this one here, we're going to have to make that fold into a valley fold, and this one we're going to have to make into a mountain fold. And you just work each of those creases to make sure they're going the right way. So all the petals, the center fold is up, and all the folds in between are down or in. And then you're going to fold them in. So take one of your blossoms, and you're going to start folding in like this, so that the creases just follow. I'll do that again. So you have all of your center creases up and your in-between creases down. Make sure that one blossom petal is at the top, and you're just going to start folding these in along those creases. And because these are 5, you're going to have 2 folds on this side and 3 on the other side. What I do is the side with just the 2 edges, we're going to do what's again a mountain fold. So you're going to just fold the edges in just a little bit. You don't have to fold too much. Just a little bit. Make a good crease like that. So it's going to look like this. Okay. And on this side, you're going to fold these in for a valley crease. Basically, they have to go in the opposite directions. So you have one fold on this side and one fold on this side. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Basically, you want to try to hang on to the very, very bottom tip down here, and you're going to pull out each of these individual folds and try to open it up a little while keeping the folded shape. So hang on to that, and you're just going to kind of flatten them out and keep those creases in until you have your cherry blossom. And like I said, you can just kind of keep working those creases, just kind of press them down. So you don't want it doesn't have to lie completely flat. You'd like to have it have that little bit of the flower effect. So it is a really nice 3D effect. And if you, like I said, I just use some good old tacky glue, craft glue, and just put a good dab of glue right there in the bottom, center bottom, and press it down so that the petals can still come up off of your paper. And just draw some little leaves and just kind of glue them in. And if you use like, this is just regular copy paper, but you could use like cardstock, and it would make a really beautiful card for somebody. So that is the cherry blossom. Oh, and you can make it even with like pattern paper, origami paper, and so you can have different colors too. It doesn't only have to be pink. It could be whatever color you want it to be. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the song, but there is a song and there's a dance. If you Google search for the Sakura Japanese dance, there are some YouTube videos where you can watch the traditional Japanese dance to Sakura and hear the song. That was one of my favorite songs. I learned that dance when I was in 2nd grade. Unfortunately, my dancing fan broke a few years ago, and it was close to 50 years old when it fell apart. But part of the dance is you flutter your fan to represent the falling blossoms. And in Japanese culture, one of the things about the cherry blossoms is that they're so beautiful, but they last just a very short time. And it's that concept of wabi-sabi, impermanence of beauty. So you cherish what you have while you have it. And the cherry blossoms really represent that in Japanese culture. So now we're going to go on to another springtime flower, which is the tulip. And I did fold a few. The irises are for next month. But I just folded a few tulips here so you can kind of see what they're going to look like. What I did find out again is you need to make sure that the paper you're using, if it's not origami paper, should be a fairly thin paper. I found out if you make it out of a stiffer, some of the copy papers, especially in color, tend to have that, they're heavier stock and they're rather stiff, and they just won't work out very well. So basically try to find a thinner type of paper. If you have origami paper, that would be even better, but just try to find a thinner paper. And you're going to work with a square. This is, I think, 6-inch square, so this is the size of classic origami paper. But we're going to start by folding the paper in half into a triangle, opening it up, and rotating it so that that crease is going vertical, and then folding it in half into a triangle again. Open it up. Now you're going to turn the paper over so that the creases are pointing up. And you're going to fold in half into a rectangle. Like so. Open up, rotate again. Now when we did this kind of fold for the tsuru and some of the other things that we did what we called a magic square. This time we're going to do the magic triangle. So turn the paper over so that the diagonal creases are pointing up, and you're going to push in along the straight creases, and voila, you have a triangle. Pretty cool. Now you're going to take just the top layer point, and you're going to fold that down to the bottom point here. Just like that. And same thing on this side. So it looks like that. Turn the paper over. We're going to do the same thing for these. And again, with origami, as always, you try to make your corners and edges meet as closely as possible, and make sure your creases are nice and sharp. And I just always just kind of run my fingernails along those. So you should have something that looks like this. Now, take just this side and you're going to fold it over so that you have a plain side with just the fold. Turn it over, and you're going to do the same thing over here. Just take that top layer and fold it over like so. Now this is where it gets to be a little bit tricky, because you need to fit in the right side fold, you're going to fit into that little pocket, and you're going to just kind of push them in together like this, okay? And this is why you need that thinner paper, because with the thicker paper it is so hard to do this. And you're just pushing it in as much as you can all together, and then when you flatten it, it's not going to be centered, okay? It's going to be a little off center. There we go. With this thicker paper, it is kind of difficult. Just keep kind of pushing it in and maneuvering with it. And when you flatten it, it's going to look like this, okay? Turn it over, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And so it's opening up this pocket over here, and you're going to fit this side in. And just try to push it all together. It's a little bit easier with origami paper, but it's doable with this thinner paper. It's not totally perfect, but it does work. So you have, it's a little bit off-centered shape like this. Now you're going to turn it over so that this part is at the top. And there should be a little bit of a hole in there. So you're going to basically put your index finger right in here, and then hold the edges with your thumb and middle finger. And I usually use my pinkies to hold down the bottom point. And just kind of hold that hole open, and you want to kind of blow into it. There we go. So you're going to have this shape. This is basically like a tulip bulb, the bud, okay? Now, normally I would have a pencil. I have a rolled up piece of paper. This is going to be the stem. So I'm going to use this. What you want to do is very, very carefully, you're going to pull down just those little tips of the paper. Just carefully bring it down and out, and then you can just kind of roll that tip a little bit with the pencil to make a little curve. And you're going to do that for each of the 4, okay? And again, just really be careful so that you're not pulling the whole thing apart. Because remember, this is only being held together with the folds. There's no gluing, no taping. It's really cool. So you just have that nice little curved effect of the petals. All I did with this is I took a rectangular piece of paper, and you just start from the corner, and you want to just make a very tiny start, and you're just going to keep like this. Just keep turning the paper over and over, and keep it as tight and small as possible, so that when you end up, you should end up with a fairly skinny little point. But you just keep working the paper like this, okay? And then I just finished it off with a little bit of glue to hold it together. And then remember you've got your hole at the bottom, and you can just put the pointy end in through that hole to hold your tulip. There you go. So that's the tulip, and the cherry blossom. Happy April.